All right, guys, we're in my game room slash movie room. I forgot to show off in part one some of these movies because obviously they're hanging in here, so I just completely slipped my mind. But now we're going to go over those the A through the D's that are hanging up on the wall in here. And since we're going all the way up to the L in part two, I'll show you off those movies as well, so we don't have to come back in here. I'll try to go in alphabetical order. Which actually would not be Chud. It would be over here, Alien Chaser. Now, I'm a big fan of Frank Zagarino in the Project Shadow Chaser movies. This is the fourth installment in the franchise. Not the best of the movies, probably the worst of all four, but still, I highly enjoyed it, man. I still think it's a good film. Lots of fun. All right, next up, if we're going in alphabetical order, is a movie starring Oliver Gruner. Now, this is automatic. This is basically Die Hard with a cyborg, with Bruce Willis being replaced by Oliver Gruner. Really good film, man. I highly recommend, if you have not seen Automatic, to go seek it out. It's one of my favorite cyborg films. Now, let me see here. We got the A's. I guess we're moving on to the C's. All right, so we'll start on the left here. We have Chud, man. I remember as a kid, the first time I watched this, being scared to death of this friggin' movie, man. Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller. Classic film right there. Let me see. Moving on to the C's. I Come in Peace. This movie's really cool because it was filmed where I'm from, in Houston, Texas. Dolph Lundgren is a cop in the movie. And then you have Matthias Hughes, which has been, he's a bad guy in lots of films. He's the alien in the movie. I think at one point DVDs are like a weapon in the movie. It's fucking phenomenal. A gun that shoots DVDs. All right, next up here we have the Cyborg films. Everybody knows the first Cyborg film. Everybody's a big fan of it. I am. It's one of my it's probably my favorite post-apocalyptic movie of all time. But Cyborg 2, Glass Shadow, gets a lot of hate. And I'm here to tell you guys, I'm a big fan of it. I love both of these films, man. Really cool stuff. All right, now, where are we at? Cyborg Cop with David Bradley. This is one of my favorite Cyborg films of all time. Definitely in my top 5. Phenomenal film. Check it out if you have not. And then on the end here, we have Digital Man. Matthias Hughes is the bad guy in this as well. Or is he a bad guy? You got to check it out to find out. And, yeah, man, really cool gun. The gun is like the star of the film, man. Badass gun. Now, where are we at here? All right, so let's go over the project. So we already went over Alien Chaser. This is part 2 over here, Night Siege, Project Shadow Chaser 2. Why am I going over these? These are not even the... Oh, God. It's an alphabetical nightmare. All right, I think that's it, guys, for the films in this room. Everything else, yeah, Time Guardian, that'll be in another video. Terminator, Nemesis. We're only going up to the L's. And that's it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We didn't talk about Life Force. So this is another movie as a kid. I remember watching this. So basically this is a space vampire film. And it's directed by Tobe Hooper. I remember as a kid pinching myself as if I was dreaming. I could not believe that I was watching a movie with some hot chick running around naked killing people. This is definitely not a movie that you could watch around your mom when you was growing up. Really cool film, though, Life Force. I need to revisit it. Haven't seen it in a while. All right, guys. As my hero would say, on to the next one. All right, some more movies that I forgot to show off in part 1. This is Factory Sealed, The Client. Dirty Harry. And a really cool Dutch slasher film, Amsterdam. Very unique slasher movie. There's a really cool boat chase scene in this film. Really well done. The Color of Money, Tom Cruise and Paul Newman. Then we have John Candy and Delirious. By the way, I think I said in the first video that DVDs have been around for around 40 years. That's not true. I think the first DVDs came out in like 1996. We're talking about 24 or so years. Bruce Lee and Enter the Dragon. Probably the greatest mixed martial arts movie of all time. And we have from the Lucille Ball signature collection, Easy Living. The Empire Strikes Back. Very cool, very cool. E.T. And yes, we have moved on to the E's, guys. One of my favorite horror films of all time, Exorcist 3. Humphrey Bogart in The Enforcer. Edward Scissorhands. I don't know how many layers we're going to do in this video, but I'm going to try to race through stuff. I grew up on this, man. I absolutely adore this film, Enemy Mine. And it's got everybody's favorite black stepdad in it, Louis Gossett Jr. Although you probably can't tell from the makeup. That's Louis right there. And then, of course, what's his face here? I'll tell you in a second. Dennis Quaid. Really fun sci-fi film. Got some touching moments in it, too. We have a movie that I didn't even realize Tim Matheson was in this. A movie that I've never seen. Eye of the Demon. I guess it has a an alternate name. Bay Coven. No clue. It's another movie from Laser Blazer. Sounds like a Turbo Graphics game. The Fan. Really cool, cool film. I haven't seen The Fan in a long time, man. Wesley Snipes and De Niro. Gotta check that out. This is from Laser Blazer as well. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'm sure I've seen that before. Oh yeah, Robert De Niro is Frankenstein. I don't know why. I just find it so hilarious that Robert De Niro would play Frankenstein. Or is he Frankenstein, the creator of Frankenstein's monster? If he's actually the monster, then that would be hilarious. Maybe he's just the guy Frankenstein who creates the monster. I don't know, whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about at this point. We have a movie that I've never seen, The Freshman. Kind of a weird movie. I know it's an older film, but it's kind of an odd movie that I wouldn't have seen this by now. I don't know. I have such a big collection. I never really grabbed for this, you know? I know I've had it for years, and it's just like, It doesn't intrigue me to watch for some reason, but this movie's talked about. A lot of people talk about that film, so I don't know. I gotta see it soon. Definitely one of my favorite horror movies of all time. This is one of the older style, like, anytime you see a case like that on the Laserdisc, it's one of the older ones. And I'm not, you know, this is probably does not look the best. It's better than VHS, but definitely not close to DVD quality. But anyway, yeah, man, John Carpenter's The Fog, man. Really cool pirate ghost film. Pirate ghost slasher. Really well done, man. I really enjoyed that one. I think the remake sucked. Definitely check out the OG. Then we have a Muppet home video film here. Frog Prince. A Few Good Men. It's got the gatefold, but Fire in the Sky. People believe this has one of the, one of the greatest actual like when you're inside of an alien spacecraft, and it's very realistic the way they do it, where they're they're probing him and doing whatever aliens do to humans when they abduct them. Alien Abduction, November 5th, 1975, 5:49 p.m., White Mountains, northeastern Arizona. Wasn't this yeah, it is based on a true story. The Fugitive. I think this is another movie that has a lot of these have disc rot. Already running out of room. It's crazy. All right, not as good as the original, but still a very good film, man. I enjoy it. And it even has, what the great thing about this, it has, does it have, I know it has Roddy McDowall. He returns as Peter Vincent. But now I'm questioning myself. It might not have the kid in it. Says the suckers are back. I love it. Great cover art too. It says oh no, I think he is back. Charlie Brewster, right? William Ragsdale. I don't know, for some reason I don't have him on the cover, but I do think he returns. Both of them return for this one. So yeah, really cool horror flick right there. It's probably worth a few dollars. Next up, Full Metal Jacket. The best war movie ever made. J. Scott, Toronto Globe and Mail. Stanley Kubrick, man. Amazing film. Next up here we have, I can tear this shit off. It really gets on my nerves. The Firm. Wilford Brimley, Tom Cruise. All right, some people might call this a chick flick, but I don't care. For some reason, I just have so much nostalgia for this film. The chick is hot as shit, and the music is it's pretty badass, man. The film itself is I don't know why, man. I'm a big fan of this movie. Every few years, I check this movie out. Rasputin's 95 cents Flashdance. Don't hate. All right, next up here we have Face Off. Flash Gordon. The Flintstones. It's been a while since I've seen this, man. John Goodman, Rick Moranis. This is actually pretty cool, man. I need to check this out again. Yabba dabba doo. Oh, this is such a great film, man. Field of Dreams. More than just a movie about baseball. It's a movie about family, friends, and lost opportunities. I love James Earl Jones in this film, man. He's so good. Man, there's such great acting in this film. Ray Liotta is great. I think he plays Shoeless Joe Jackson. I haven't said it the whole video, but I'm going to say it now. That's an absolute classic. All right, back when Sinbad actually made movies that people watched. First Kid. I'm sure I have it written in the description, but I'm not sure how many letters I'm going to do at this point. All right, this is a movie from our boy Tobe Hooper. Funhouse. This movie has disc rot, unfortunately. I think the whole second half of the film is riddled with disc rot, so I won't be rewatching this. This is a good film, but I feel like it's people are always like, oh, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a circus environment. It's not that great. I mean, all right, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, man. Possibly the greatest remake horror film of all time, The Fly. So good, man. Such a really fucking cool film. All right, a movie that I hadn't watched in so many years. I watched it a few years back, and it seems like it's such a kiddish movie, but it actually is a lot more than just a kid's movie. It's a really good film, man. This was a Robert Zemeckis film. And Peter Jackson, man. So they had some heavy hitters working on this film. Obviously, Zemeckis was from the Back to the Future films. And everybody knows Peter Jackson. This is a fun film, man. Really cool ghost flick. The Frighteners. All right, another Michael J. Fox film here. Goodwill Pickup. I want to say For the Love of Money, but I guess I'm thinking about a Bone Thugs and Harmony song. This is For Love of Money. PWM, why you got to bring rap into it? All right, next up here we have, I don't think I've ever watched this. I love Paul Newman, man. Fort Apache, The Bronx. I don't think this got the best reviews. I think I was about to watch it, and then I was reading the reviews on it, and it was like, it's not one of his better films. Oh, a movie that I love, man. L.L. Tyson again owned this. Labeled all his movies. Man, The First Power is a really cool film. This might be my favorite Lou Diamond Phillips movie. I mean, obviously, I was about to say Top Gun. Obviously, the, I can't think of it now. The Western film with Emilio Estevez. I'll think of it in a little while. But anyway, yeah, man, this has the bad guy in this movie is Jeff Kober, which I believe was the bad guy in Cobra. The guy with the giant knife that was slashing and killing everybody. There he is right there. He is a badass bad guy, man. He's got the pentagram like it is carved into his cheek. He's a really great bad guy. And that's what this is, man. This is a like a devil worship film. where this guy's going around killing people and sacrificing them for the devil. And Lou Diamond Phillips is the police officer. Really good film, man. I highly recommend this one, man. This one gets slept on, man. You gotta check this out. The perfect killer is the one who cannot be stopped. Be warned. Yeah, he's almost like the guy from Silent Rage, the Chuck Norris film, where he keeps on getting up, you can't kill him. All right, next up here we have Free Jack with Mick Jagger. This is factory sealed as well. From Advanced Video. Oh no, this is Rasputin's. All right, we're almost done with the F's here. And then I gotta go get the G's and the H's out the trunk. Oh man, I love this film. One of my favorite Friday the 13th films, man. Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Everybody gets, you know, everybody has hang-ups about the fact that this is not, Jason is not actually the killer in this film, which I don't give a crap. It makes no difference to me. In the first film, everybody has hang-ups on that as well, and that does not bother me one bit. I think it's probably because it wasn't until Part 3 where you had, like, half of the movie, you finally had the hockey mask, and 4 was really the only film where it was legit Jason with a hockey mask 100% of the movie, and then all of a sudden this comes along, you got the hockey mask, but it's not Jason. I guess it threw people off, but this is one of my favorite films, man. It has a lot of cheesy aspects to it, but it's super fucking fun, man. Really good film. And it has some of the most brutal kills in the franchise. And probably my favorite kill... Oh, I might be mixing this one up with another one. Somebody gets killed hitchhiking. They're like eating a candy bar or ice cream or some shit. And it's not even close to Crystal Lake. You can just tell. Like, this person has nothing to do with Crystal Lake. She's not going on his territory, and he kills her for no fucking reason. It's the funniest shit in the world. But I adore this movie. Friday the 13th Part 5, man. Check it out. It is badass. Stop hating on it. And yeah, that's the one where that's the chocolate candy. I'm not talking about the chocolate candy bar kill. That's a whole other story. That's hilarious as well. All right, we have Fear here. Reese Witherspoon, Marky Mark. And the last of the, I'm sorry, where are we at now? We're on F's, right? Yeah. The last of the F's here. Actually, this is a dupe for me. So, I can't remember. If Tyler, if you need this, I'll send this your way. Definitely something you want for the collection. Frighteners. All right. Please hold. All right, moving on to the G's. We have from the James Bond collection. This is I guess a Japanese release. Golden Finger. Did I say Golden Finger? No, Goldfinger. Gladiator. That's got what's his face in there. Was it Richard Denny? No, Brian Dennehy. He was like the asshole fight promoter guy. Guilty by Suspicion. Ghostbusters. Another classic here, Goonies. Or The Goonies. Who hasn't watched that 1,000 times if you grew up in that, around that time that it was released? The Ghost in the Darkness. Safari Horror. The Godfather Part 2. It's a pretty decent film here. Not that bad at all. All right, next up here we have Grave Secrets. Probably sucks. Goodfellas. Anytime you see those stickers on it, those are Goodwill pickups. Again, I picked up 90% of my collection from Goodwill. Next up, we have, this is it's basically a sales movie. All these different salesmen. It's got a lot of great actors in this film. What was it called? Glengarry Glen Ross. It's got a real famous speech by, or dialogue by, what is it, William Baldwin? I think it's William Baldwin. Oh no, it's Alec Baldwin. Where he's talking about, you know, he's got a $45,000 car parked outside, and he's telling them how to sell and how to hustle, and it's a really good dialogue. Next up, we have Gremlins. Damn, bringing out all the classics. Gentleman's Agreement. The Gorilla. I think I watched this like a few years back, and I was like, what a waste of time. Definitely something I don't need in my collection. GoldenEye 007. Oh yeah. And then we have another Tupac film here, Gang Related, with Jim Belushi. I would say this is, he didn't make too many movies. He only made like 6 or 7 movies. This is probably one of my least favorites that he made. This is basically a bad cop movie, where Tupac's a cop. And, did I say Jim Belushi in the beginning? I'm not sure. But anyway, James Belushi's like a really fucking bad cop, like dirty as they get. And, you know, Tupac's his partner and stuff. And then all of a sudden, why am I getting so much into a movie? I got too many movies to talk about here. But anyway, there becomes a conflict with both of them, because James Belushi is such a bad cop. And then Tupac has his moral compass going on, where he's like, nah, this is wrong. I can't do this. You've taken it too far. Another Tupac film here, Gridlocked, where Tupac is a heroin addict with Tim Roth. This is a really cool horror film. Again, not as good as the first one, but still highly enjoyable. There's only one thing more terrifying than the first visit. The second. Gate 2, Return to the Nightmare. You know, the whole premise of having this hole in your backyard, and as a kid going to explore it, and all of a sudden realizing that it's a gateway to hell is just badass, you know? What does it say? This supercharged sequel to the horror classic The Gate is alive with unearthly creatures, heart-stopping action, and incredible special effects. Gate 2 picks up again with Terry, the teenage sorcerer who summons beings from the other side, whose powers can be used to grant any wish. I'm not going to read all of it, but yeah, very cool there. Gate 2. Probably worth a little bit. Groundhog Day. I was really rolling through movies, but now I'm starting to try to talk about them. We'll be here all day. The Hunt for Red October. I don't know what it is, man. I just love submarine movies, man. I'm a big fan of submarine films. And this is probably the best. It does not get any better as far as submarine movies. There's another really good one with Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman. That's probably my second favorite. Can't think of the name right now. We might have it. All right. We got the Howling 3. Very cool. If you see only one werewolf movie this year, New York Times. It's my kind of horror movie, New York Daily News. I don't remember, to be honest with you, how... I think the Howling film's really kind of... I don't know, man. I enjoy a few of the Howling films. I can't remember how much I like that one, or not. See, which one was this? I know some of them are just horrible. Howling 5, The Rebirth. The Beast Returns. Look at that cover, man. Now that's some shit right there for you. Very cool, man. Very cool. Next up here we have Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Hoosiers. Hoosiers. Yeah, I think I said Hoosiers. Hoosiers. I cannot pronounce this for some reason. Hoosiers. There you go. Dennis Hopper plays the alcoholic in town, but he knows basketball like really effing good. And Gene Hackman is the head coach of this this country basketball team, or this team out in the boondocks, or in the sticks, as they say. Barbara Hershey is the wife, and yeah, man, cool shit. Clint Eastwood here in Heartbreak Ridge. That dude has made so many great films, man. Let me see if he was like early on. Was he producing stuff early on? Yeah, he actually produced and directed this. And this is from like, this has got to be from 30-something years ago. So he was directing well, I say a long time ago. The guy's in his 90s now. I didn't realize how old he was until somebody mentioned it the other day. All right, Steven Seagal in Hard to Kill. You know, we laugh at him now because his movies are really basically a joke nowadays. But he was a badass, and he was like, you know, he was just as big as like Stallone or Schwarzenegger at one point. You know, him and Claude Van Damme were superstars. All right, House Party 2. Gotta love the House Party films. Kid and play with his shit back in the days. This is a movie that used to make me cry laughing. I haven't seen this in a long time. But this is like a mockumentary where they're making fun of like stuff in Hollywood, like Hollywood movies. Robert Townsend. This is a really good film. All right, a lot of people's favorite movie cover here. Happy Birthday to Me. Uh-oh, sun's starting to creep in. We better hurry up here. I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. This is another really funny production. It's got like the old school guys in there. You know, like, you know, obviously like Jim Brown, but it has Isaac Hayes in there as well. Bernie Casey. And this is Keenan Ivory Wayans, to show how old he is. He's the oldest of the Wayans brothers. He's got to be in his 60s now. I think that's the first time anybody's seen him in a film. All right, man, getting to some cool films here, man. Starting to show off some of my horror collection, Hellraiser. I hate some of these new YouTubers, these young YouTubers. It's like, I'm not really a big fan of the first Hellraiser movie. I love Hellraiser 2 and 3. It's like, shut the hell up. The first Hellraiser movie was so unique and original and badass. It's like saying you're not a fan of the first Friday the 13th. It makes no sense to me. They're just amazing films. And I love it, man. This is when people started talking about Clive Barker. I think this is the first movie that he made. I could be wrong about that, but I know this is the first time I heard about Clive Barker. Now, let me see, make sure I'm not... See, why doesn't it say... Because Clive Barker wrote the book to this, but he directed it as well, didn't he? It says producer. It mentions producer. All it says is a film by Clive Barker. So yeah, I think he did everything. He'll tear your soul apart. I have seen the future of horror, and his name is Clive Barker. Even Stephen King said that. That's a quote from Stephen King. So that says a lot. And then we have a lot of people's favorite. But I've also heard people hate on this, man. People just, I don't know, man. I don't know how anyone can hate on the first two Hellraisers. They're so good. Hellbound. This one introduces the Doctor, man. The Doctor is badass. What is the Doctor's name in this? I'm trying to remember. It doesn't mention it. But Ashley Lawrence is back in this one, and obviously the star. Why can't I think of the star's name? They're terrible about mentioning. See, this one is directed by Tony Randall. It's not directed by Clive Barker. Anyway. Alright, this is like a hidden gem of a horror flick right here that not a lot of you probably heard about. But it's a fun, cheesy flick, man. Hellhole. Great name for a horror film as well. This has got Ray Sharkey in it, who apparently was doing a lot of drugs at the time when he was making these movies. And you can tell he's like pretty fucked up during the course of the movie. But he's also doing drugs in the movie too, so it's like, it's perfect. And who else does this have in it? It's got a super hot chicken. I think it's Judy Landers. I don't even remember the premise of this movie, but it's something to do with a hospital or a prison. And at the prison, they have like a hospital underneath it, and they're doing experimental tests on prisoners. I don't know. It's funny as hell. That's an hilarious film, man. Hellhole. You gotta check that one out. It's really good. All right, Hook. The Gatefold. This is a factory sealed movie I picked up from Half Price Books. And yeah, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Back when Rebecca De Mornay was like the hottest chick in movies back then. What was she in? She was in the, wasn't she in the Tom Cruise movie? Risky Business? I'm pretty sure. Next up, we have Hoodlum. A lot of people's favorite Christmas movie, Home Alone. And the legendary, the one that started it all, Halloween. John Carpenter's masterpiece. And yes, this has the gatefold. The cover is even terrifying. It's pretty badass. This is worth some money too. This is actually the Criterion Collection. It's not in the best shape, unfortunately, but yeah, man. 1978. The classic. Alright, this is a factory sealed film. Oh no, it's not factory sealed actually. I take that back. I've actually seen this one. I watched it on laser. I spun this bitch. And that is Heat. with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro going at it, man. Great acting in this film. It's also got Val Kilmer in it. I have to say, when I had my Laserdisc player and my old school receiver and like everything, like my AC3 out and like the modulator, like all this different equipment I had to make you know, an amazing surround sound system. This is one of the movies I always remember. When I had my shit at the Plymouth of sounding great, putting this movie on and hearing specifically the scene where they're out in the streets and they're shooting those assault rifles, the sound coming from my speakers, and it made my house shake. My dogs were like terrified. It's one of the most incredible experiences inside of my living room. Sounded better than any movie theater I've ever been in. It was incredible. And so needless to say, this movie has some fucking badass audio if played with the right you know, system. All right, guys, that's it. I'm gonna go home, get the rest of the Laserdisc, organize them. I don't know, we might do the I's, J's, and K's, and call this video a or call it quits on this video. All right, so I made another mistake here, left another A out. I know, it's turning into an alphabetical nightmare. Another stake out. Did not see that until I was going through my other movies. For some reason, I was probably thinking to put it under S for stake out. And I'd be remiss if I didn't go back and talk about this. So, besides, another couple of reasons why this is the one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies, has the best adult Tommy in it. Obviously, you have, the iconic Corey Feldman as the young Tommy, but as an adult Tommy, even better than Tom Matthews. This is my favorite badass Tommy. And one of the main reasons this is one of the best horror films of all time, this has the best set of titties I've ever seen in a movie before. Laying upside down, these massive tits are still a symmetrical masterpiece. On top of that, her real name, her given birth name, Deborah Voorhees. The same last name as Jason Voorhees. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right, enough said on that. By the way, if you're wondering why I have sheets and blankets covering my car seats, well, I just killed 2 hitchhikers, and I was kind of concerned driving around in my car with blood stains on my seats, so I decided to cover them up. That's what that's all about anyway. All right, now moving on to the H's. Is that right? Do we do I's? Let me see. H's. Yeah, G. We did G's last. That's correct. All right, Hell. I'm about to say Hell on. Hell in the Pacific. Oh yeah, man. One of my favorites, man. I absolutely love this movie. The Hitcher. Again, L.L. Tyson had some good taste, man. So this had a fairly young Rutger Hauer, man. Rutger Hauer is such a lunatic in this movie, man. He's so good playing a diabolical serial killer. 1986, The Hitcher. It's got our boy in there, C. Thomas Howell. Really cool film. Can't really say much about the remake, though. Next up, we have Heavy Metal. All right, next up, we have John Singleton movie here, Higher Learning. Basically a college flick. This is a good film, man. I like all the movies that he made. I would just say this movie tries to tackle too much subject matter. I would probably say it's just too much, man. Rape, racism, classism, like everything that you can imagine, he tries to address in this movie. It's almost like it's just too perfect of a film. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a good movie, don't get me wrong. It's got Ice Cube in it. It's got Busta Rhymes in it, man. Definitely Busta Rhymes was better in this than he was in that Halloween movie. What was it? Halloween Resurrection? Oh my God. It was one of the Halloween films. I don't remember. All right, next up here we have Interview with a Vampire. Is this a gatefold? Does anyone care about the gatefolds? That's the bigger question. All right, next up we have a horror flick here called The Incubus. I did spin this. If I remember correctly, this is like it's like a first-person horror movie, and the creature is going around trying to rape people. I shouldn't say people. I don't think he's trying to rape men. He's trying to rape women to impregnate them, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. It's a demon who thrives on sexual desire. Yeah, it's a demon who rapes women. Pretty insane. Next up, we have Iron Will. Indiana Jones. A movie called Intolerance. D.W. Griffith's Intolerance. So this looks like a movie. It says that, I guess the original was in, let me see. After the Birth of the Nation, Griffith, okay, Birth of the Nation is like a famous either book or movie. Griffith put that powerful new language to work again in Intolerance, 1916. Holy shit. I forget where I picked that up at. All right, we got some classics here. I don't know about classics, but cult classics, maybe. Iron Eagle 2 and Iron Eagle 4. It's been a while since I've seen these. I need to spin these again, or actually spin these for the first time. I've seen the movie. You know what? I'm lying. I don't know if I've seen Iron Eagle 4. One thing about Iron Eagle movies that you can pretty much bank on, the soundtracks are going to be incredible. All right, another Clint Eastwood movie. This has got John Malkovich in it. In the Line of Fire. Independence Day. What's going on here? Oh, this is not even in the sleeve. Really? Get your ass in there. I'm not opening every gatefold. Pauly Shore in the Army now, so I can speak. Joe versus the Volcano. Cool flick. Judgment Night. This is probably going to be my favorite Tupac movie. And the soundtrack is unbelievable in this. Juice. Such a great movie, man. The soundtrack just takes me back to the early 90s, man, when I see this movie. This was early 90s, right? I'm pretty sure this is like 1990. Yeah, 1992. Great film. Very cool movie here. Jacob's Ladder. Trippy, like Vietnam, you know, after Vietnam. Guys seeing all kinds of crazy shit, man. Seeing demons and post-Vietnam classic. We got a really cool Christmas film, Jingle All the Way. Sinbad. It's really great in that movie. Jumanji. Got the box set here of Jurassic Park. Got all kinds of extras in there. Not going to get into it. We don't have much time. I want to get through this video. Jaws 2. I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. Jason Goes to Hell. But again, if you do not know what to do for Laserdisc art, just put fire on that bitch. And yeah, I'm not going to knock the cover. It's definitely got a badass cover. All right, this is going to be my favorite Laserdisc Goodwill find. And a pretty cool film. The Keep. Now, I'm not sure about now, but I know when I picked this up, this is like one of those, all the like Laserdisc collectors that I would watch on YouTube before I started getting into Laserdisc, or around the time I first got into Laserdisc. They all talked about this film, kind of like one of the holy grails of Laserdisc collecting. And, you know, I picked it up for a couple of bucks at Goodwill. I think around the time it was worth $100. I'm not sure what it's worth now. But the big deal with this was it never got a DVD or Blu-ray release. So I'm sure they'll F that up somehow. But I think the fact that one of the problems is, and by the way, this is a Michael Mann early film. This might have been the first thing that he ever was involved with. And this might be his first directorial movie. I think the first director was fired. People died on the set. There was all kinds of crazy shit that happened. It's got music by Tangerine Dream. And that's what I was going to say. Tangerine Dream does some of the best music in movies, and super famous rock group, especially in England or wherever they're from. And a lot of movies cannot be released on, because they'd have to pay Tangerine Dream. And so that's why there's a lot of copyright issues with stuff like this. So will it ever get a DVD Blu-ray release if it hasn't already? I don't know. Very cool though. Kind of hard to explain. The Keep is like some kind of place in Germany where you'd go in the war to stay safe. And there's some kind of demonic spirit inside this this keep. And what is his name? John Glenn. No, Scott Glenn is in this, and he's got like superpowers and shit. And he's like fighting. He's like called in to fight the keep or something. I don't know, man. And but he's from, if y'all don't remember, he's from Urban Cowboy. He was the bad guy in Urban Cowboy. Yeah, man, the keep is really cool, man. I'm gonna put this back here. It really needs to go back in plastic. I don't want to damage that. All right, next up here we have the Karate Kid Part 2. Kiss of Death. As you can see right there, somebody paid at Camelot $39.99. Laserdisc, when they, back in the day when Laserdisc came out, you'd have to pay $50, $60 if I remember for a Laserdisc. Nowadays, with inflation, $50 back then was like, what, $80 now, if not more? I don't really remember this too well. I did see this before, but I don't remember the premise. I think Nicolas Cage is really over the top. He's like a big tough guy. He wears a bunch of gold and shit. And he thinks he's like a god in this film. And David Caruso is the cop. And maybe even Samuel L. Jackson is a cop too. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. Kindergarten Cop. The Land Before Time 4. Never seen it. This is factory sealed. The Land Before Time 5. The Last Boy Scout. I think this is the first time I remember Damon Wayans being in a movie. I always remember the beginning of the movie where the guys, this professional football game's going on, and the guy's running down the field. I don't know if it was kickoff return or I think he was a receiver. And he's about to get a touchdown. Somebody gets in his way, and he literally, it's a regular football game. He's got pads on, helmet on. He pulls a gun out and shoots the guy. I always thought that was crazy. The goal is to survive. The Last Boy Scout. I remember that being pretty good, man. Good film. I had talked about how John Candy, I remember Cool Runnings being like one of the last movies that was actually a really good movie that he was in before he passed away. I would say this is the same scenario here for Rodney Dangerfield, man. I don't remember him making too much movies after this. This was probably like right before he died. And he's really good in this, man. This is a good film. Ladybugs. He's a coach of a girls' soccer team. You would not think this is as good as it is, but it's really funny. Really good flick. I need to revisit that. All right, we have a factory sealed copy of License to Kill. Wasn't sure to put this under T's or to put it under L's, but it is, I think it's called Leatherface. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I could have put it under either, I guess. But anyway, part 3, Leatherface. It's a good film. It's cheesy, but I like it. Wasn't a huge fan of part 2. And yeah, man, I like Viggo Mortensen's in this, but Joe Unger's in this as well. I really like Joe Unger in films. And it's a cool flick, man. It's more of it goes back to like the original formula, part 1. I like it. All right, man. It's Van Damme time. Lionheart. Great film. Little Shop of Horrors. This is obviously the remake. Wasn't Jack Nicholson in the original? I believe he was. And let me see. Was this a Robert Zemeckis film? I know Rick Moranis is in this one. Steve Martin's also in this? A special appearance by Steve Martin. Bill Murray's in this as well. It's got all kinds of great actors in it. All right, next up, we're almost done here, guys. LA Confidential. I don't remember that movie. I saw it before, but I remember nothing about it. Elizabeth Shue is so hot, man. Leaving Las Vegas, man. It's a solid film, man. Nicolas Cage is just a total fucking drunk, alcoholic, like literally drinking. I mean, he's trying to drink himself to death in the movie. That's kind of the... No, it's not kind of. That's the story in the movie. He's trying to kill himself. And then he meets Shue, and Shue tries to save him. But is it too late? Is the alcohol more important than a hot Elizabeth Shue? Factory sealed La Femme Nikita. I do not own this on any other media, so I've not watched this film yet. Not streamed it either. Then we have The Lost Boys. Obviously a badass horror vampire film. Probably seen that 100 times in my life. Lethal Weapon 3. That's when they brought Joe Pesci into the fold. He's pretty hilarious in those movies, or in that movie. I think he might have been in 4 as well. All right, we have a Matthew Broderick. This is a Richard Donner film, and it's got Michelle Pfeiffer, I believe, in it. Oh, this, you know what? This has Rutger Hauer in it as well. I didn't even realize that. Let me make sure I'm not lying. Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. Lady Hawk. All right, 2 films left. Oh, yes. We got Brandon Lee in Laser Mission. Who's the chick in this? She is so hot. Debbie Monahan, I believe, is the female in this. And you know, I mean, I would say he's no Bruce Lee, but Brandon Lee, man, I really liked him in films. Now, he was in a lot of cheesy action films, but I mean, that's the best part of his career, man. All the cheesy action stuff he did, man, I just eat that shit up, man. I love those type of films with him. He's great in these really so bad they're good movies. Laser Mission is a fun film, man. Really cool. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. All right, and the last movie in the L's. So we'll start the next video on the M's. We have Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. This is the unrated director's cut, all in black, deluxe letterbox edition. Real sweet version here. It's got the metallic letters. Really cool stuff to end the video on. And yes, it has the gatefold. Very cool, man. And a good film too, man. This guy right here, I can't remember the actor. He's a good actor. Scott Bakula is like the antagonist, or the protagonist, and the antagonist. Let me see. I don't know what his name is. I can't remember. No other filmmaker gets under the skin the way that Clive Barker does. Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, man, Clive Barker's a legend, man. I wonder if Clive Barker's still alive. Clive Barker's best and most ambitious movie to date. Kevin Thomas, Los Angeles Times. The Nail Biter, Hair Raiser, Teeth Chatterer Movie of the Year. It delivers shock like some dark messenger from hell. Wes Craven, I love that. Clive Barker outdoes himself with masterful visual effects. Yeah, there is a lot of cool visual effects in this film. Really cool one. Check that out if you guys have not seen that. And a very cool addition to my Laserdisc collection. All right, guys, thanks for checking out some more of my Laserdisc collection 2023. And probably wrap this up in a couple more videos. And I'll see you guys in the next video.